we start to study Unit 2. Where work is another physical quantity. We want to study it in details. We found that work depends on two main factors. Number one, it depends on the force. Number two, it depends on displacement. But the force and displacement must be in the same direction. Force and displacement must be in the same direction. Therefore, we can say that work equals to the product of force and displacement. If we want to know more about the work, we found that unit of force is Newton, unit of displacement is meter, which is equivalent at the same time to joule. So unit of work is joule, which is equivalent to Newton meter. This is number one. So work affected by two physical quantities, which is the force and displacement, and the force must be in the same direction of displacement. This is number one. But if the force is not in the same direction for displacement, means the force makes angle with the displacement. This is a displacement, and the force makes angle theta with the displacement. Means if we want to move this object, we can move it in this way. This is person try to move this object, he try to move it and pull it in this form. This is the force. Therefore, to calculate the work, we said that the force and displacement must be in the same direction. So we must make resolution for the force. Okay, we must make resolution for the force. Resolution means dividing it into two perpendicular components. Divide the force into two perpendicular components. The first component, if you remember, okay, the first component, this is the first component, which is represented by F cosine theta. The second component, which is perpendicular to it, it is represented by F sine theta. Okay, which component we take it to calculate the work? We take cosine because it is, or it has the same direction of displacement, but sine force is not needed. So in this case, we can say that work, okay, work equals force cosine theta times the displacement. Or we can write it in another form, work equal F times D times cosine the angle between the force and displacement. So there is the force, which can calculate it from another relation, which is for FD cosine theta. Then if we said that theta has many different values, if theta equals 0, work in this case equals, we can explain. And then if theta equals 90, therefore in this form the work equals, if you find that on the calculator, cosine 0 equals 1, and this is the maximum value for work, which is represented by the product of F and D, and this is the maximum work. Okay, but cosine 90 equals 0, therefore work equals 0. This is another point. So if the angle between the force and displacement equals 0, therefore work is maximum, and if it is equal 90, the work equals 0, where cosine 0 equals cosine 90 equals 0. Okay, and if theta is between 90 and 0, okay, therefore in this form work is positive. If you calculate cosine any angle between 0 and 90, it will be positive. Okay, so the work in this form is positive. Work is positive. This is number one. But if the angle theta is between 90, okay, and 180. Therefore, in this form, the work is negative. In this form, the work is negative. Okay, this is another important point. We can find that work is also negative if the force and displacement are opposite in their direction. Therefore, the work will be negative. So the work will be negative in two cases. The first, when the angle between the force and displacement is between 90 and 180, and when the force and displacement are opposite to each other. Okay, and then if it is the angle is less than 90 and greater than 0, or between 0 and 90, the work is positive. The last point we can explain on work, that when a body moves in a circular motion, this is body moves in a circular motion. When it moves in a circular motion, the direction of force, this is the force, which is, if you remember, centripetal force. Okay, this is the force, and this is the displacement, which is tangent to the circular motion. This is the velocity, which equals to displacement over time. So the force and displacement are perpendicular to each other. Therefore, any body moves, this is very important point, any body moves in a circular motion, okay, moves in a circular motion, okay, in a circular motion, it didn't do any work. It didn't do any work means, in another words, work equals zero. As the motion of planets surrounding the Earth, it doesn't do any work. As the rotating of the moon around the Earth, it doesn't do any work, and so on. So any circular motion, the work equals 0.